and they go and they have fun, and this is not fun for me. And Tori talks, and this is not talking. Everything is not fine.
So, everything's not fine.
No.
That's the same with you.
Yeah, I mean,
there must be some things good things from him, or not really.
So I would only be there for like 2 days, and in the 2 days, because he was visually impaired, it was very difficult.
The church, or your church, is addressing issues that the world has, that life has brought to the table, and God is filling the void. And I was going to ask, do you think that that's the church's responsibility to make sure their daughters know who their fathers are, or know who their father is? Do you believe that that's something churches should be actively doing?
They wouldn't be able to understand, like, I would always say, like, they probably wouldn't understand me, but I think it's because I didn't actually know how to handle that kind of level of treatment.
Welcome guys back to Sound Words. This episode is called Daddy Issues Part 2. I've got amazing women with me today. Please introduce yourselves.
My name's Zainab and I go to Charis Ministries.
My name is Yemi. A few names, but we'll do Yemi. And I'm a child of God. And I sang. I talk too much.
Hi, my name is Tori. Oh, okay. I'm a vlogger and I do loads of stuff.
What church you go to?
Covenant of God Parish.
It's good. Let's start saying, what's your story? I mean, it's so important that we get this situation with, well, I don't call it situation, but the daddy issues. What we mean by that is where have fathers gone wrong at times, and the void and the impact it's had on us as daughters. And tell us a bit about your story, Zainab.
Well, I don't know, like, I feel like I've not ever really had like a relationship with my dad. So when I was younger, I didn't know my dad until I was like 7. And it was random, I met him at my nephew's party. And then he was like, yeah, my dad was like, okay, cool. And then like, I was quite I was quite resistant initially in trying to get to know him. I just felt like I didn't want to know him. Like, and that's so weird because I was so young, but I didn't really want to get to know him. As I got older and like as I started to see him more and stuff, like I was more like open to it. But even then, like I didn't really feel like I had a relationship, if that makes sense. I just feel like he was just my dad, didn't it? Like I couldn't actually even bring myself to use the word dad when I'd speak to him. I'll just like say what it is I needed to say without actually saying dad. I don't know, it sounds weird. But recently, well not recently, like when 2018. So in 2015 I converted to Christianity because my parents are Muslim. So I converted to Christianity, and then in 2016 my mum told my dad, and ever since then he hasn't spoken to me. Like, so I don't really have a relationship, but it's weird because I don't want to say I don't care, but I just don't feel anything in regards to it. Like I just feel like, okay, you're not talking to me. It doesn't, I don't feel like I've lost out. Maybe because throughout, even when we had that relationship, I didn't really feel like it was there. So even now when he's not talking to me, it's like, okay, cool, like, it's just what it is.
Can I ask a question about when you were much younger? Why did you have that resistance with him initially, even at the age of 7?
I don't actually know. Like, I think it's just the way I am. Like I'm very hard to open up to people. Like, or accept people in my life, especially someone like my dad. And I think because it seemed like such a norm to not have a dad at that age, and for someone to just come and tell me, yeah, I'm your dad, I was just like, okay, but where have you been for this X amount of time? And so I just was like, I don't really want to know you. And it's weird because at 7 you're so young, you don't really think about it. You kind of do want your dad like in your life, but at that time I was just like, I'm not interested. But
do you think your life would be different if your dad was in your life all the way through to now? Could you imagine if you could
definitely, yeah. Like I look at some of my friends. I was actually telling my friend the other day, I was looking at some of my friends, and some of my friends have like amazing relationships with their dads, and I'm just like, is that how it's supposed to be? Like, is that normal? Like, are you actually supposed to have? Like, I've never thought about it, but when I see things, I'm just like, I feel like it's really weird when I see people have really close relationships with their dads, because I just feel like that's not how I've been brought up. So I just feel like, oh wow, like, but obviously it must be an amazing feeling. But I just don't ever see myself having a relationship like that with my dad.
But you, Yemi, tell us a bit about your story.
So I am one of quite a few girls, and growing up, my dad was always working. But I'm not gonna lie, as a small child, I had a good relationship with him. So up until about the age of 5, 6, 7. But the dynamics of my family was a family, as family can be. Family is lovely, but it was messy. And so from like the age of 7, my dad would travel out a lot to Nigeria. And so he'd be gone for months. And the thing about it is that I'm from a batch of girls, like, and it's very proud to women. Like, as a natural person, I'm created in that way now, or molded into that way now. And so, because I was just surrounded by girls, him going and coming, I had this kind of funny relationship with men. And I remember my parents got divorced when I was 14. And I remember when he left, I would long for him to come back. But my relationship with my dad was disgusting. So I hated him, but I loved him. It was a love-hate thing, because I wanted my dad, but I didn't want what he was giving me. You know, I wanted a nice bonded relationship where, daddy, I can call you, and yeah, I can talk to you about school, and I can talk to you about this, because you would see kids at school. So I remember being about 9, 10, and like my parents' relationship was hard. It was hard to be in as a child. And I remember going, and I was in a very predominantly Caucasian school, only African in the room. And I remember going to a girl, oh, do your parents argue? Just walking to school like this is normal, like this is what you ask. He goes, yeah, sometimes. I went, oh, so why is it nothing? I knew how to fake life, but I was hurt as a child. As a child, I craved male attention, I craved it. And I never, like, it's only in womanhood now that I've come to realise why there was so much struggle and pain. And I've made a lot of mess along my journey. And God's literally just been doing a work of, yeah, that's why I messed it up. I'm like, oh God, that's why I'm so messed up in that eye. Oh, whoa, that makes sense.
Can I hold you just on that? What's the mess? And is that and is that mess? Is that mess universal for women that don't have a relationship with their parents, with their fathers?
With their fathers. In honesty, I think it is. It depends on your character. But either way, not growing up without a father is going to make a difference. It's going to make a difference to the way you relate to men, the way you relate to women, the way, like, literally, just the way. So when I look at myself as a child, I was very, I'm a very loud person, but I didn't know how to tailor that in. And so I had guys take advantage of that as a child, and there was no one to tell me otherwise. And because I didn't grow up hearing "you're beautiful" from my father, I wanted to hear it everywhere else. And whatever that cost me. But I wanted to hear it from every other guy. And my self-esteem, my identity was very wrapped up in if guys were checking me. And it was like, until Christ, even after Christ, it took a while. Like, God's been still going, child, stop. Like, it messes you up in the way you see yourself, because it's like, you're meant to be my father. And it messes up the relationship with God.
It's interesting you say that, because on part one, we had so one of the men said that actually women or young girls who don't have a relationship with their fathers often are more promiscuous. And would you agree with that? Would you think that that's the truth?
It depends on it depends on their character, because I know my character, so I'll be honest. If not for Jesus and the way that I got enough licks as a child, like plenty, I was ready. my mindset, especially before Christ, was I'm gonna go to uni. I don't really care about marriage because marriage doesn't really count because I know that there's just failing. So I'm gonna go have a boyfriend, and if I get pregnant, it's all right. What? That was life. That was the way I thought. That was my mentality because I never saw it. I just wanted to be loved. I genuinely just desired love.
What about you, Tori?
I can relate to both of my sisters here because I think from a young age I think I didn't really digest what was going on around me when I was a child. So when I was 4, my parents split up, and my dad was actually the person who used to stay at home and look after me while my mum was working because he was visually impaired. And when they split up, I just remember my mum crying and saying it's for the best. And like, I can't do this anymore. And I didn't realize that their relationship was quite toxic and abusive because my dad had trust issues with my mum. And so I just remember her always crying and just saying it's for the best. And my dad wanted to see me, but it became a bit, my mum kind of used me as a like, you're not seeing your daughter because you haven't treated me with enough respect. So,
which I'll go back on that point, which is actually quite understandable sometimes.
Yeah.
Because how he treats her.
It's probably going to reflect.
Yes, exactly, and it's gonna build something in you and how you see men.
Yeah. But I think their relationship was so toxic that they didn't trust each other, and I don't think my dad aimed to ever treat me in any kind of way. Actually, nowadays, when I look back on my childhood, I felt sorry for my dad because I don't think he knew how to be a father. He had 2 children in another relationship before he met my mum, and he wasn't a father to them. And that relationship ended and we never spoke about that. But in my years growing up, when I reached the age of 7, 8, I started to request, Mum, I want to go and see my dad. I want to stay with him. I want to have weekends away at my dad's house. But
what do you think made you want that though? I know it's hard when you're young. Escapism, fair enough.
I just wanted to leave the house. I was always tired of being, because I was the only girl actually in my house, and I'm from a family of 5 kids, but they all split. So I had siblings back home, but I was the only girl here to look after my mum. So I was like mummy's little assistant. So the plates need washing is me. I need you to put my socks on. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. So it was always me, and I just wanted to escape. So I used to just say, Mum, I want to go and stay with my dad. I want to go and stay with Daddy now. And it was quite hard for her to let go of me because I feel like my mum suffered from loneliness, and it might have been loneliness of not having a spouse around. And she would let me go, but it took a lot of begging and pleading. And when I would go, she would always just call and say, well, I'm in the area, I need to pick up my daughter. So I would only be there for like 2 days. And in the 2 days, because he was visually impaired, it was very difficult. Like living with someone who I didn't understand how he was surviving on his own. He was just able to function, he was just able to do things, and it was just like, okay. But we didn't have a relationship, so he would always just put on music or put on TV and just be like, oh, enjoy yourself. Do you want food? If you're hungry, just tell me. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is dead. This is so boring. But then I didn't know what to expect from my dad because I'd never had one. So I was just like, this is weird. I don't know what to do. So he was always like, talk what you don't talk. Talk what you don't. You don't say anything.
But I'm looking back at that as a man now, thinking so. There's a few issues there from as I'm seeing it from a man's point of view. First of all, if he's visually impaired, and also I don't know him, but first of all, that probably takes so much of his pride away, and how he relates to.
So awkward.
And there's a lot. Some of the insecurities might have come from that, the fact that and so that don't you talk is him. Him feeling awkward. You're both there, just awkward, bouncing awkward.
It was so quiet. Literally, it was just put on the TV, just watch TV, and I would spend a lot of my summer holidays over at his house, just watching TV. There was no time. There was no internet. There was nothing to do. So that was my life till like the age of 10, and then it all kind of stopped from there because
I had a stepdad now, and now that the stepdad was in the picture, it was very difficult. It was very difficult to be like, oh, I'm going to daddy's house, because he was just like, why? What do you want to go and do there? Why do you want to go there? So it became a bit of a struggle and a fight. So I had to now start fighting for my escapism from the house. Like, no, I want to go to daddy's house. Not that I'm going to have any fun. It's just I'm forcing it now. And
but do you feel like you need something from your dad? And you know what it is?
I didn't know what it was that I needed, but I know that I wanted to have.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a relationship with my dad, and I just felt like I don't think my dad knew how to do relationship. I think that's why all his relationships failed, because I don't think he knew. He was just like, you don't talk. Every time I was just, you don't talk. It just felt like such a struggle, and it's funny that I laugh by it now. It's just showing that I've really healed, but during that time, it was really difficult for me to see my peers and just be like, wow, like, they have dads and they're cool. Like, they call their dads daddy. I never called my dad daddy. No, it was just dad. I saw him like a father. That was it. Father. It was never dad, daddy. Even dad was awkward, because I was just like, you don't really like that with me. I don't have a relationship with you. I don't know you like that. And the reason, obviously, I started to understand why he said I don't talk. There was nothing to talk about. We don't have anything in common. I don't even know what to say to you, because anything I would say, he would be like, oh, how is your other house? Like, how are they treating you? Do they look after you? And it was just like, this is so not a relationship.
It's not a relationship. Yeah. And then you feel that you're missing out on the nutrients. You're missing out on the nutrients that you're meant to get from a relationship with your father, right? So now as you're growing as a woman, as you're moving forward, and I'm sure you have visions of your own home as you move forward. How has it impacted you? And where are you? What are you looking forward to? What are you scared of possibly? How has it affected you?
I think growing up, I hated men, because I didn't like a man who didn't know how to take responsibility, and I didn't like. And I saw a lot of my father in a lot of men that I would be around. Oh wow. I've never answered questions like this. This is different.
It's deep, isn't it?
Yeah, it's deep. I don't think I've even really spoken about my daddy issues, because my mum wasn't the person. She didn't want to hear it.
Do you feel that your mum became more and more stiff because of that?
My mum was just like, you have a stepdad now. Father. There you go, daddy. Like, if you have any issues, relate to him as a dad. And it was just like, this is awkward.
So I'll ask this question. Do you feel like you felt that your dad turning back towards you, and what impact does that have, and how has God helped you?
Like, I kind of see where the two ladies are coming from, in the sense that you don't really know what to expect in a man. Do you get what I mean? And like, I kind of like you said about the promiscuity thing, and that's why I said it was a sticky one, because I don't think it really relates to promiscuity. I think it just depends on how you value yourself. And I think in the whole situation, like, because I was so used to, even though my dad was there, I mainly always drew to my mum, and like seeing my mum, she's so independent and everything, so I kind of had that mentality. So it's like, drawing back to the idea of like, you don't really know what to look at a man like. Sometimes you'll go for certain guys and you're thinking this is the way they're supposed to treat you, when it's not. And then when someone comes along and is willing to treat you the right way, it's like you even draw away from it, because it's like, this is not normal, like, and it's so bad, like, and it's
whoa, let's just slow down that bit there. So you're saying that even when you were treated in the right way,
I think those are the ones that I run away from the most.
Wow.
Literally, because I was just
too good to be true.
Yeah, just be like, oh no, this is awkward, like, it's too much. Like, I just feel like they wouldn't be able to understand. Like, I would always say like they probably wouldn't understand me, but I think it's because I didn't actually know how to handle that kind of level of treatment. I just felt like, not that I didn't deserve it, but I just felt like this isn't normal in my world. Like, obviously, someone's world, it probably is the way they're supposed to be treated. But for me, I was just like, oh, this is so awkward. Like,
I think that's why there's some women will take so much. They will take so much things that they shouldn't take from men because they've seen it and they think this is how it's supposed to be. And you think to yourself, why are you still there, sis? Or why are you still there, auntie? Why are you still in that situation when that's not good for you? But like you said, this is what seems normal.
Exactly.
Wow, you got the same experience.
But you're mirroring what you know. So I look back on some relationships and I'm so grateful for God's grace. His grace. Oh, His grace. Oh my gosh. Yo. Girl, tell me. Like, if not for His grace, I look at some of the things I've taken in relationships and just went, babe. Now I can go, babe. But I would, in my parents' relationship, I learned submission the world's way. Submission in the terms of, okay, a man wants this, so this is what a man gets. Like, I just saw it wrong. It wasn't biblical. It wasn't the standard. And at that time, my mum was on a journey as well because she hadn't surrendered to Christ yet.
To Christ herself.
So she couldn't show me. I just followed the lead. So I, like, outside of relationships, don't touch me. What? I had big, no, lioness, I'll come for you. I'll come for you. Inside of a relationship, I was putty. And so that left me in a lot of sticky circumstances and it left me hurting myself and just bowing down to things that weren't godly, bowing down to things that were breaking me because I didn't have an understanding of my value and how a woman should be treated. A lot of young women you see who just take stuff is because no one's shown them that they're queens. They don't know that.
That's true.
They don't know their value. And so even though you say you go to church and you see godly men, those aren't my fathers. That makes sense. Like, I have spiritual fathers, but until my mind was cleared up about certain things that I'd seen as a child, they didn't make too much more of a difference. That's just a lie. They made a great difference. I remember when I walked into my church now, so my church is called Gospel of Light, and my assistant shepherd at the time had just got married. And I remember watching him stare at his wife out. He was just sitting in the out, just staring. Man was whipped. Sorry. But he was whipped. And listen, when he took me to the aquarium and he did this and I'm like, oh, is that what happens? That can happen? It's like he would treat her like an egg. And my shepherd does the same with his wife. And it was like, oh, okay, I got something wrong. Like, there's something wrong in my history. But it still takes the grace of God to work out of it. I remember coming out of a relationship thinking, I hurt you a lot, but it wasn't that I meant to. I wanted to do all that, because you come into Christ and you go, oh, I'm a new creature. Yo, you still got baggage. You still got crap. And you have to work through it. So for a lot of relationships that are breaking down, like, I can't assume them, but it's because you have all this baggage and you haven't given it over to God yet, or you have, but it's a work in progress. So I went in there, and outside of relationships, I could beat a man down with words real well. Shy, yikba, messed with my girl, her mouth, razor. It's just natural. It's just like I hated men. Like, and if it was a man that was soft, I'd be nice to you because there's no aggression here. Like, I don't feel intimidated. If it was a man that had some kind of authority, it was like, I don't like you.
So can I ask you a question based on what you're saying? Do you know if you feel sorry for your dad?
I do.
Do you feel sorry for him?
I do, because I look at and it's been a journey getting here, because like, he has beautiful girls. Beautiful girls.
So do you feel sorry for him on what's happened in the past, or what he's been left with because of his actions? What
he's been left with, but you know what? With broken relationships, everyone's broken. Everyone's broken. We have the pain of their mistakes, but everyone is broken. So it's like, so my parents divorced, and then my dad was kind of trying to contact, it was messy, it is what it is. But I'm a grown woman now, so I can have conversations with him. But I had for 7 years conversations where this is the phone, and he's talking, and it's like 20-minute conversation, the phone's here. Because it's just, and your mom,
yeah, but don't you think, and I'm really hoping, I'm not trying to defend them, I'm talking from understanding, he's trying to win you over there, isn't he?
Yeah, no, that's the thing though, but
that's not what you needed at the time. What you needed
at that time was, all I needed was
be daddy.
It's funny because like, where I am now, the standpoint I'm now, I'm grateful because now we can talk. Like this time last year, I could have an hour-long conversation with my dad, starting from, I don't want to hear you, to like, back, but like, I literally had to message my auntie and go, auntie, like, I just laughed with my dad. Like, whoa. And that was a journey, but I learned along that process that he was broken by it as well. I learned about how messy it is for everyone. Like, if I'd grown up hearing, he said something to me, he said, I love you. And I was there on the phone.
He didn't say it to you before, he said it to you now.
Honestly, swear, bro. I was like,
Did you say?
I'm like, what do I say now? Like,
Did you say it back?
I'm like, and in the beginning, it's like, oh, it's a bit late. Like, in my head, I'm like, yo, like, when was this like 10 years ago?
It was 10 seconds.
Because I'm like, okay, bye, God bless.
No, you gave him the God bless.
Wow.
No, that's the
Wow.
that's the
That's
polite way of,
yeah, that's the standard.
polite bye.
But why though? Why couldn't you say it back? Why didn't you?
Because it wasn't normal.
Yeah.
I could, like, literally, if I called Temi, I'd go, Temi, I love you.
Yeah,
I love you too.
it's easy.
We have relationship.
Mm.
I can't tell you I love someone that I don't think I love. And I didn't have a relationship with him at the time. But a year going on now, if he says it to me, I look at him and I'm like, number one, you're getting old. You're not in a good way. But like, we're getting older, I'm getting wiser. I've experienced the pains of life, and if he hadn't been who he was at that time, I wouldn't be who I am right now. I wouldn't have been able to minister to women the way I do. I wouldn't have, the baggage that I used to, there's a song by Fantasia called Necessary, well, it wasn't her, but she sang it, called Necessary. And the lyrics are, I am who I am today because God used my mistakes. He's worked it all, am I talking too fast? He's worked them all out for my good, like no one else ever could. If my dad was around, I wouldn't be a Christian. I wouldn't have received Christ as Lord and Saviour. Like, it would, I don't know, it would make things very, I wouldn't be me. I wouldn't be sitting here with you. I wouldn't know you.
That's more of what God has done with the situation, isn't it?
Yeah. He takes, but it's made me a better minister. Whereas before, I wouldn't be able to talk to nobody about relationships. It's about relationships.
So, do you know we were talking earlier about you seeing friends that have raised relationship with their fathers? What are you looking for? Like, what are you looking for in those relationships? What is it that you want? Also, you're thinking, I wish I had that.
I think it was just like I would see friends, and they would be able to banter with their dad, or they would be laughing, and it's all
the small things.
and I'm just like, I don't think I've ever laughed with my dad. There was nothing to ever say to my dad. Like, I think the most we ever, how was school? School's fine. How I did great, and it's like, yes, everything's fine. Everything was fine. But I would see friends being jovial and like laughing with that. Oh, dad, don't say, even just as much as like touching. And I was like, I don't think I ever touched. Like, there was no contact. It was just, how is school? School is fine. How are you? I am fine. How's the home? Home is fine. And that was it. Do you want to eat? Yes.
The tick box.
And you know what's funny? My first relationship was very much like that. How are you? I'm fine.
Wow.
Everything's fine. Yeah. Are you hungry? Let's go and eat. That's it. And it was just like, and then, that ended smoothly. That ended quickly because I was like, this is so dead. Like, I've seen other couples and they banter and they laugh and they go and they have fun, and this is not fun for me. And Tori talks and this is not talking. Everything is not fine. So,
everything's not fine.
No.
That's same with you.
Yeah, I mean,
there must be some things good things from him, or not really. Not obviously there are, but I'm saying, do you feel the same? Do you feel like you need something else? Are you looking at other people thinking, I want that? What are those things?
Yeah, like, you know what? Like, for example, I have a friend who's got an extremely great relationship with her dad. Like, she will snap him and they are bantering like together. Like, even just to like put my dad in a snap camera, I could never imagine doing that. Like, people, that's just like, just little. But with my mum, I'll snap her anytime, do you know what I mean? But like, with my dad, I'll just be like, I could never snap you, do you know what I mean? But I feel like now, at the stage I am now, like, you asked the question like how God has compensated it for it. And prior to becoming Christian, I never really understood why people look at their pastors so strongly. But honestly, it is my pastor who has, like, God has brought my pastor into my life and has compensated for it, like not having a dad. Because, like, the way this man actually genuinely cares about, like, not just me, but even, like, the people within the church, and then, like, he'll actually call me up if I'm ill, and he'll be like saying, like, what's wrong? Like, he'll actually care about me, and then, like, some days, like, because I serve at church, So he can tell when I've got like I'm going through a season where I'm just off, and then he'll just be like, "We need to talk, isn't it? We need to talk." And obviously he's such a busy man, and I'm just like, I don't really want to burden you, but it's like to him, I'm his daughter. Do you get what I mean? And he's like, whenever, like, call me, let me know what the situation is, and it's like, I think because he's now actually taking that genuine care for me and shown me that this is how a man should treat you, and not even just to me, but the way I see he treats his wife, and he has 2 daughters as well, and the way I see he treats his 2 daughters as well, and they're young, and for a man that is so busy, he always makes sure he has time for them. So it's just like, I just feel like I can't, after seeing that now, I feel like I can't go back to less. And like, even someone, like, even just a little care he gives me, like, it's crazy because I don't think he understands how much he's really impacted my life. And like, it's just even the little things of calling me or saying, how's your dissertation going, or how's uni going, how's work going, have you got a new job, things like that, like genuine care, and things that I'm not even telling you about. And then even things that he picks up, like, you know, you have a mother's intuition where they know when something's wrong, like, it's like he knows when something's wrong with me. I don't even have to tell him, and he will go out his way to call me or message me or speak to me after service. And it's like, what makes me even respect him even more is that the fact that he has all these things going on, but yet he still chooses to prioritize me, like, or my issues, alongside other people in the church, not even just females but men as well. Like, he just makes sure he prioritizes people's needs before his own, and seeing that level of is that word, unselfishness? Like, it's just like, I can't now come and say I'm gonna take one Sunday and then come and let him rubbish my life. It could never happen. I know it was a pick and say. But yeah, no.
I think that makes me feel so good, because I believe we hear so many bad things about the church. About the church is not doing this and not doing that. It's good to hear that the church, or your church, is addressing issues that the world has, that life has brought to the table, and God is filling the void. And I was going to ask, do you think that that's the church's responsibility to make sure their daughters know who their fathers are, or know who their father is? Do you believe that that's something churches should be actively doing?
Church is just a building. I feel like everyone should have church in their heart.
Of course, yeah.
And I think the fault might be with a lot of people as opposed to the church as a unit. I think sometimes we just have really high expectations of the church, and we forget that it's made up of a whole bunch of individuals who are quite broken in themselves. I don't think it's their responsibility, but it would be nice for them to do that. I don't even think people realize that daddy issues was a thing until quite recently. I don't think it's been existent that I don't think psychologists and psychiatrists have sat down and said, actually, daddy issues, this is I think this is quite recent. I think it shows itself as well in women very differently depending on the woman. It's almost like grieving. You know how people grieve in different ways? Because you didn't assume, I'm guessing it's an assumption that women tend to be more promiscuous. I've even heard that they believe that women seek love from older men. I'm not like that. Don't diagnose me like that. I'm not like that. If anything, actually, my daddy issues tend to stem more in the way that I relate to older men. I immediately will call you daddy if you're of the age of being a father.
You clothed him with that father, the garment of father.
And sometimes you'll get it from some uncles, I'm not your dad. And it's just like, oh, alright, sorry, uncle, sorry. Or I remember one time I called my friend's dad daddy, and she was like, he's not your dad, he's my dad. And it was just like, I'm sorry.
Someone say that.
No, do you know what? She said it in a jovial manner, but it was just like,
And
then I started to realize that, actually, why am I seeking a dad? Like, in almost every uncle and baba that I meet. And then I noticed that, actually, maybe that's something I need to deal with in my own self, because it's not normal for other people, I don't think, to be like daddy immediately to other people.
It depends on the child.
I think that's a bit of a culture. I mean, I don't believe that women are promiscuous because they don't have a father. It came up in discussion.
No,
we
yeah,
thought
yeah.
that maybe it could link to that. But I think what you said is really, really interesting. I do believe that we do seek that thing that we're missing in other people. I think it was harsh to say, "Don't call my daddy. He's my daddy." No, daddy. But I do think the church's job, and you're right. I don't think the church is full of people who are also in the process.
It's a hospital. A lot of people are coming in for different
things. And I get. We shouldn't have your pastor can't be everybody's dad.
No.
It's just not going to
That's
work.
tiresome.
Yeah, it's just not going to work. But I do believe that the idea is that we should be everybody should be aiming for Christ, and he is the Father. And because we haven't even spoken about what it's like as a daughter that their dad's passed away.
Yeah, my dad passed away.
Okay,
that was awkward.
So how was that for you?
I didn't deal with it. I don't think I even grieved. I found out and that was it. It was just like, okay. I can't say I missed him. I think for me, it just became real like, oh, I can't go to dad's house. Like, that's it. He's gone.
It's about dad's house.
Yeah, for me, and that's why I said it was more a thing of escapism. I didn't have a relationship with my dad to even miss anything about him. I think now though, like when people, because I have relatives that would like find a picture of my dad and my mom and be like, oh, this is your daddy, and it's like, oh, like that's my dad carrying me, and it's just like, I don't even have that kind of vision of my dad in my head. For me, my vision of my dad was just more like, oh, he's like the visually impaired guy that can live on his own and do everything very well on his own. So I looked at him like, wow, you're a really strong man, but that was all.
So, but you respected him.
I respected him. I definitely. I never looked at my dad like, oh, how dare you? Or I didn't have hatred towards him. I just expected a bit more. Yeah. And
It sounds like for me, and we talked about it on part one. It sounds like for me that there's the idea of your dad's house and what that represents for you. We spoke about the fact that sometimes parents just throw things at children. Like you said, have you eaten? Okay, go and eat. You know. And so dad's house wasn't about me and dad coming together and being close. It was more about what can I get from dad's house. And so for you it was escapism and food. I'm sure you had food at home, but that food and TV. But and sometimes we all look for those different things, and actually there was no relationship with dad. It was just what he brought, and I think that's something that we need to be careful of as we grow into be parents. That also, what are we really giving our children? Are we really giving them that relationship with them as their father or their mother, or we're just giving them loads of things that they can hold on to for now?
Is the provider.
Yeah, that's the provider, which is we need to be provided, but that's
not all.
That's just a part of what we are.
That's true.
Praise God, guys. We really hope that you are blessed by that, and like I said in part A, wherever you are on the spectrum in regards to this issue, know that Jesus Christ is fully on your side, and He wants to complete everything and make it whole, and He knows exactly where you are and is willing to take you on that journey with Him, so that we can all be whole regardless of our situations to do with our fathers. God bless us, stay tuned.
I think it's a bit tricky because in the society we live in now, you have to actually walk on eggshells so you don't offend anybody with your own religion.
Once they know you're Christian, it's like you have this extra standard that, oh, you're Christian, you know, and you have that extra, not judging, but people kind of look at you that if you step out, exactly. So that's one.
So that's how God lured me in. And I was going to church because I had a crush on a guy and I liked the music.
One of my old work colleagues is Muslim, and we even had a time where one of her nieces was ill or something, and we prayed together. And when I prayed in Jesus' name, she prayed, and and it was kind of nice.